Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Joan Hunter. So glad to see you back here today. We're continuing on our different pillars of lifestyle medicine, and today we're talking about sleep. So healthy sleep is so important for our health overall. And this is an area where I feel like I really learned a lot through my training in lifestyle medicine. And I've been able to use some pretty simple tactics to help people really improve their sleep, even people who've been dealing with sleep difficulties for many years. So we're going to go through some basics about sleep today and what I call common disruptors, things that get in the way of healthy sleep. So I'm going to pull up my slides. So I want to just teach you a little bit about the circadian rhythm. So some of you may know what this means, but basically it's a normal sleep pattern that humans as a species have evolved over thousands of years. Now, we live in a very different time and society than how we evolved as a species, but our circadian rhythm and our underlying physiology hasn't changed very much. So it's really the idea that we should be active in our bodies when the sun is highest in the sky and at night we sleep. And you can see that the circadian rhythm and what I would want you to start thinking of about sleep is that sleep is not just the hours between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. when you're trying to get some good rest. It's really a 24-hour phenomenon. So everything you do or don't do during the day adds up to good sleep or potentially poor sleep. So I think it's important for people to understand that this idea of sleep as a 24-hour cycle having to do with the circadian rhythm, which is really ingrained in our brains and in our body physiology. So we'll talk about some ways to get yourself aligned with your circadian rhythm so you can have better sleep. Because really, our hormones get secreted at the same time, whether or not we're binging on Netflix, whether or not we're working a 24-hour shift. And so this really impacts our ability to get good sleep if we're not aligned with our brain and with our physiology. So you can see melatonin secretion. A lot of people talk about melatonin. It is a sleep promoting hormone, and the secretion starts about 9 p.m. So if you're not kind of in the realm of getting ready for bed or starting to think about sleep, you're going to miss the window where your melatonin is the highest, which helps you go to sleep. We'll talk some more about what in the medical world is known as sleep hygiene. And these are things that can promote healthy sleep and getting you aligned with your circadian rhythm. So here's some simple tips. One of them is really having a set bedtime and wake up time. This helps you reset your circadian rhythm, and it's a very impactful tool. So if you're having trouble sleeping, really saying, okay, I want to try to get 8 hours of sleep. That means I need to get into bed by 10, and it means I need to get up by 8. Now, if you can stick to that even on the weekends, you'll have a better impact on your sleep and your sleep quality. Avoiding being in your bed. We'll talk about this more, but this is something that, our brain really likes habits. And so if you have a habit of spending a lot of time in your bed, you may notice that when you go to bed at night to lay down to sleep, it's a lot harder to fall asleep. So the more you can spend time out of your bed and not doing routine activities in your bed, especially like watching TV or reading a book even, you're going to have a bigger impact on your brain understanding that when you get into bed, it means it's time to sleep. Your environment matters, so the temperature of your environment, if it's dark, if it's quiet, and screens. We're going to talk about screens. I know I'm coming to you through a screen of some sort, but these screens are really impactful on our brains and the way that our brains react to light. Also thinking about what you're inputting, caffeine and alcohol, and making sure that you have some sort of calming bedtime routine. So when I see people having trouble with sleep, very often they're having trouble with sleep hygiene. And these are the top 3 violators. I've touched on them a little bit, but screens before bed, alcohol intake or caffeine in some situations, and being awake in bed. So we'll go through each of these in detail. So our brain, the back of your eye, your retina, is actually brain tissue. It goes directly to your brain through the optic nerve. And when it sees light, basically what it does is say, hey, body, hey, brain, don't make melatonin. The sun is out. And the wavelength of blue light that comes to us through these screens, if it's your TV, if it's a tablet, if it's your phone, it's very similar to sunshine. So you could be delaying your natural secretion of melatonin by being on a tablet. So in lifestyle medicine, we say for some people, it's up to 2 hours before bed to avoid any screens. But I find most people can get behind me if I say 30 minutes before bedtime, I want you to avoid your screen. So this would be putting your phone on the charger downstairs, not watching the news right before bed. That has some other things to do with sleep hygiene about limiting activating activities right before bed. But really trying to avoid screens for 30 minutes. And the good news is now you have 30 minutes to create a calming bedtime routine, which we'll talk about in a different video. Alcohol intake. This is probably one of the biggest areas where I help people improve their sleep. And for so many people, especially women around the time of menopause, they notice that their sleep quality decreases. And alcohol can be extremely disruptive to this. So although drinking a few drinks of alcohol might make you tired and make you fall asleep faster, alcohol itself, when it's metabolized, interrupts our REM sleep, which is kind of that later in the night sleep and where we get some of our most restorative time in bed. So if you notice that when you drink alcohol, you wake up multiple times, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you have a hard time going back to sleep, it's the effects of the alcohol. So don't drink alcohol right before bed. In lifestyle medicine, we recommend really reducing the intake of alcohol. There may not be a healthy level of alcohol intake. But if you can delay your consumption of alcohol for at least 3 hours before bed, that will have an improvement. If you know you have to get a really good night's sleep, consider not drinking at all. You can also try things like herbal teas that have been shown to help with stimulating sleep, something like chamomile. And you can see some other side effects of alcohol, nightmares, night sweats, that are just not good for promoting healthy sleep. Being awake in bed. This is called stimulus control when we talk about this in a sleep medicine standpoint. But basically, it's what I said before about spending time in your bed that is not sleep time. Now, this also applies to time in your bed overnight that is not sleep time. If you're awake in bed for more than 20 or 30 minutes, you're actually creating a pattern where your brain recognizes that what you do between 2 and 3 a.m. is lay awake in bed. So I'll have some other tips to fall back asleep in a different video if you do wake up, and it's going to involve your breathing. However, if you're laying in bed 20 or 30 minutes, not falling back to sleep, even if you're trying some calming techniques, some breathing, some visualization, I want you to get out of bed. Now, I do have to tell people this is not an excuse to go check your email. This is not an excuse to fold your laundry or put away the dishes. You are still trying to go back to sleep. You're just giving your brain a cue that, hey, I'm not just here to lay awake in my bed. I want to go back to sleep in my bed. So keep it dim. Again, the light from overhead lights in the middle of the night is enough to start triggering a cortisol rise. So you want to keep it dim. Get a paperback book, get a magazine, lay on the couch, count sheep, listen to a guided meditation. When you start to feel sleepy, get up, go back to your bed. Hopefully you'll fall asleep. If you fall asleep on the couch or wherever else you go to, it's okay. When you wake up, go back to your bed. We're retraining the brain that what we do in bed is sleep. So that's why it's so important not to do other daytime activities in bed. Try not to read in bed before you go to sleep. Don't spend extra time in your bedroom. So this one intervention of not spending time in bed if you're not sleeping is about 30% effective at improving the quality of your sleep when you are in bed. So it's one of the most single powerful tools that we have to improving your sleep. So as I said before, there's these things that we can do to improve your sleep hygiene. Those top 3 pieces are really going to give you a big bang for your buck in improving your sleep. And I'd love to work with you more if you have trouble sleeping. So you can reach out to me through my website and we can schedule a consult. I will also be doing other videos for other sleep topics, and I hope that you enjoyed this one. So thank you for listening. If you're still here to the end, I really appreciate you being here. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, but you like what you're seeing, please do. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Next week, we're going to talk about stress reduction and the fight or flight response. I really look forward to seeing you soon. To your good health, Dr. Hunter.